Y'all gonna get tired just like we gonna get tired tonight.
I got a homeboy who lives in Sweden, man, and he goes by the name of J. Rowe, and he says that Stockholm is fucking fly as hell. So if y'all fly as hell, make some noise!
I think that, by the way, check this out. We're Lords of the Underground. We do hip-hop music. I don't know what the fuck y'all might be listening to right now, but this is what I make. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The year is 1974!
He represents for real hip-hop in Stockholm, Sweden, man.
Do you know some Swedish artists?
Well, actually, I was born in Sweden.
Yeah, for it? Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know any Swedish hip hoppers, but I know some hip hoppers who moved to Sweden.
Okay, like
Melee Sparks,
J. Rowe
from Alcoholics, and that's about it.
Soon to be
Soon J. Rowe the Damager. He's moving to Sweden.
But you can first of all introduce yourself.
You record now?
Yeah.
Oh,
cool. Okay. I'm Mr. Funky from Lords of the Underground.
I'm Bishop Don Juan. Now I'm with the kid. Do it all. Lords of the Underground.
and DJ Lord Jazz always hit me one time.
So how long have you been rapping?
Wow, that's a good question. Think back to your earliest memory. Count 2 years before that. Yeah, that's how long we've been rapping. No, actually, as a group, we're coming up on our 20th anniversary. Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah, long time.
January.
What's your age?
12 will be 20 years.
Like I was like 5 years old, I think. Something like that.
I was only
January 12th.
Okay.
And we are doing the 20th anniversary album.
Okay.
It's going to be a double CD. We're going to have like all of our classic records, remixes. We got Marley Marl, Pete Rock, DJ Premier, Rottweiler, Knife Wonder, Lord Jazz doing some production on it. So it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot.
Yeah, DJ Premier was here like 1-2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
How was it?
I wasn't there.
Ah, you didn't go see DJ.
I know, it's hard, I know. I study, so I have to go to school early in the morning.
You get over
so-
for a little study, a little bit.
But I heard it was good. But how do you think about Sweden?
You love sleep.
It's lovely.
It's
I
the
can live
first
here.
time?
I mean, we've been here a long
Yeah, we came
time
a
ago.
long time ago. This is our first time in Stockholm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah. So how long are you gonna be here?
Till 6:30 in the morning.
Until tomorrow.
Then you go back to New York,
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah. We've been on the road for a little while, so it's time to go home. This is actually our last day on this run.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah.
So what you gonna do next after this?
After this, we're going back in the studio to record this album, this 20th anniversary album. So that's what we're probably going to be doing for the rest of the year until we start dropping singles from it. Plus, we're going to be doing shows. We're coming back over to Europe a couple of times. So,
Camera lady.
beeper phones. It's 1995. If you're at now, you can get your beeper phone.
Yeah.
It will beep as soon as people start talking to you.
But you know, we just working, just staying on the road, making it happen, and getting ready, like I said, tune for the 20th anniversary album. And meanwhile, too, I got a solo album out right now. I got a promo called American Dude. Put me a single about rap called Surrender. Go to LordGang.com, check it out. You know, so we just work. It's like when one project comes, we all support that. The next project comes, so we can never get a break.
That's good.
It's a good thing to be working and doing something you love, though. And what we love is hip hop. So.
But you think it's hard? What do you think about the music? Like, is it hard to make it out? Like, my English is so bad, but is it hard to come up with your music?
I mean, it's a lot of obstacles in anything you do. Sometimes the obstacles vary and differ in different situations. But at the end of the day, we're 3 kids from the slum parts of different cities in America, being in Cleveland, different states, Ohio, and New Jersey. And now today we're in Stockholm, Sweden. We're doing what we love on a platform where in front of people who love it just like we do. So that's a blessing. Any other thing that's negative is minute to the reward, which is so much greater.
Yeah, are they considered old school?
Yeah, are they considered old school?
That's a very good question.
I never heard anybody call them old school.
Exactly.
But see,
It's called them rock
That's
bars.
why I asked.
hip hop is such an objective art form. It's such an objective. I'm sorry, subjective. Very subjective because people sit there and they scrutinize every little thing you do. You know, and if you make a record that not as many people like, not saying it's not a good record, but say you make one record and that record sells 10 million copies. Well, if you make another record, if it sells anything less than 10 million, people look at you like you're a failure.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but you just sold 5 million records on that second record. That's a failure? Are you serious? You know, so I mean, it's all in perception and how people view you. And at the same time, the fact that we're still together and we're still doing this, and we're still, you know, our next album might be our last album.
Okay.
Nothing is necessarily etched in stone yet, but our next album might be our. Hey, whoa, whoa.
This as well.
Yo, we doing an interview, man. We may, you know, this may be our last album. So after that, if they want to call us old school, they call us whatever they want.
But if it's gonna be the last, what you gonna do after that?
Might be our last studio album. We might just stay on the road and just, you know,
Perform.
perform.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably always do that, but as far as going in the studio, performing new records, stuff like that.
Trying to get this white wine.
At some point, you have to be able to say, like, you know, you have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. You know, you just have to be able to know yourself. I mean, me and my brothers, like, our relationship transcends hip-hop music. So, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to be together for 20 years if we didn't.
Yeah.
that's always going to be there, with or without, you know, hip hop or the hip hop business or the business of rap music. Because see, it can always end the same way that it started, with me and Do It All beating on the table, writing raps on little sheets of scrap paper. I'll be fine with that.
But where do you get your inspiration?
Life. We had enough history in this business to write 20 more albums if we wanted to. You know, we've been very, very fortunate, very, very blessed, because you may find somebody who has had bigger success than Lords of Underground, but you're not going to find too many that's still around that has had longer success. You know, a lot of these guys, I mean, look at nowadays, half the guys that's popular right now, you know the song, but you don't know who the group is. You don't know their name. You know, they sell 1 million ringtones today, and then tomorrow nobody remembers your face or your name or nothing.
Can you name me a group from the 90s that's still doing stuff? Can you?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not so good.
Busta Rhymes.
Yeah,
A group.
A group. That's one guy. A group.
Right.
No. I don't
Locks.
You got the Locks, you got Onyx, there's two of them now.
The Locks was post Golden Era though.
Okay.
Golden Era went to 95.
But when you guys grow up, what did you listen to?
Wow. We listen to everything, and that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
Go ahead, dude. You can answer that.
I listen to a bunch of stuff, man. Right now, what was I listening to? And I was like, damn, what's coming good? I was just listening.
No, when you grew up.
Oh, when I grew up.
Yeah.
I grew up. Man, I was listening to James Brown, Marvin Gaye, Layla Hathaway. I was listening to Sam and Dave. Sam Cooke. You know, hip hop wise, I was listening to Run DMC. I wanted to be Run DMC. Like that was my idol.
Who didn't?
You know what I mean? Yeah, I wanted to be Run. LL Cool J, T The Rock was a big, he was a big influence on me back then. Rakim. Anything that was hip hop.
Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson, of course. Who didn't listen to Michael Jackson?
Okay, now see, you don't even have to list Mike though. You know,
Yeah, like Mike,
of course.
he's like the of course
Yeah.
list. Like
yeah, that kind of goes. That's Mike. You know, Prince.
Whitney Houston.
You know,
she's from Jersey.
she's from Jersey. Of course, we listen to her.
Of course.
My mother grew up next door to her family, so they grew up like my mother and her family grew up together. You know, so that's a given. But as far as I'm sorry, you.
But let me do mine. I'm the DJ, so I grew up listening to music since I was like 5. And my mother had a crazy record collection. Every day when I used to come home from school, I used to run right to the records. And some of the records that she had that I listened to were The Emotions, Earth, Wind and Fire, Les McCann, Jazz, Roy Ayers, and you know these kind of groups, Kool and the Gang with the Summer Madness and the Winter Sadness, George Clinton, Benson, Ohio Flavor, you know, just a variety of music. And I grew up listening to that, man, and that's really what made me want to become a DJ. You know, the music. I mean, hip hop wise, it was Run DMC, it was Jazzy J, Zulu Nation, you know, Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, these kind of cats. Like when I saw Wild Style, it just blew my mind to see Grandmaster Flash cutting in the kitchen like that. You know, it really blew my mind, man, and you know, I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be like Grandmaster Flash. And me being from Cleveland, Ohio, you know, in the Midwest, it was hard for anybody to get out of that area and make it big, you know, except for the OJs, like R&B groups. So, you know, I went to college down in North Carolina. I had a radio show down there, DJing all the parties. I met these guys, and we hooked up. A friend of mine wanted me to send him a demo to Marley Marl. Sent the demo. We did Psycho and New Jersey Funk, and you know, like a 3-4 demo. Sent it to Marley. He loved it. you know, we went up to the House of Hits and we immediately started recording. And that was the birth of Lords of the Underground.
The reason why I rhyme is because it's a part of my DNA, it's a part of my makeup, it's a part of what I am. I'm programmed for hip hop. Like, it's like, when I first started, and you know, I grew up listening to Rick James, I grew up listening to Al Green, I grew up listening to Stevie Wonder, I grew up listening to Gladys Knight and the Pips, Aretha Franklin, the OJs, the Spinners. So I had that soul infused in my body at a very, very, very young age. Like, my first audience used to be all my mother's friends. She used to make me and my sister stand out there and sing Rick James and Tina Marie, Fire and Desire. We would be sitting there like, love them and leave them. And I mean, it was funny. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny back then. I was dead serious. You couldn't stop me back then. I was serious, but no. I started out beatboxing.
What's the name of your show? Du vet inte.
Don't stop the beatbox. What?
Du vet inte.
Do a bit intact.
Exactly.
Okay, do a bit intact. Do come intact. Do getting on when he rip that. Y'all know the flame that I spit's not lame. Come on, do it all. The Funk Man insane. Can't forget Lord Jazz. Do it to the intact. Motherfuckers better listen when I read that. Come through the block, one shot. Boom! Everybody leave the block.
Alright.
That's good.
I went from beatboxing, then I called myself a graffiti artist, you know, spray paint on the walls. I got tired of getting chased by the police, you know. So I quit that. Turk 182, just like on the movie. Remember the movie? Yeah, so
Spit. Remember that shit?
Wild Style, yeah. Then I went from that to rhyming.
Beat Street.
I breakdanced a little bit, but I wasn't that good. My windmills didn't quite turn over right. You know, I tried to try a windmill, but my windmills it was just like it had one fan on it. It wasn't quite a windmill like all the way. So I tried rapping. This was around like the same time that Sucker MC came out, Run DMC. When I heard that, I knew what I wanted to do. You know, I mean, by the time I was 14, I was actively looking for a record deal. I had demos, I had producers, a manager, all this stuff, man. I just knew that I wanted that to be a part of my life. And there was a point when things wasn't working out so good, and I had a choice between pursuing rap full-time or going to college, and I chose going to college. And look what the hell happened! I ended up meeting my crew, and that's part of how Lords of the Underground got formed. But I rhyme because it's a part of who I am. It was a part of everyday life growing up in the city of Newark. You did something. You either rap, you had a wicked jump shot,
Or you cooked up a mean crack.
or but you either did. You know, the elements of hip hop, you were involved in one of those at some point in your life if you was from my city. So it was just a part of who we are. But we're fortunate to have had parents who taught us what music actually was, so that when we came around, we could actually infuse some of that soul into our music.